Okay, today we're doing non-proportional relationships. I'm combining two lessons into one. So we did tables one day and graphs today, actually. So we're going to do non-proportional relationships. And today we did tables yesterday. And the ratio of y over x is not constant. So last week we did k equals y over x. Okay, this is not going to work because it's not going to give us the same number every time. Okay, does not contain the point 0, 0, so it does not go through the origin, but instead when x is 0, y is a non-zero constant. Okay, for instance, x is 0, it's 9 here. Okay, so it's going to be 0, 9 is our non-zero constant. When we're doing non-proportional, your 0 is going to have a y point that will change. Okay, first example, I'm going to kind of go through the steps. This is a very easy process. It's just very step by step, and there's several steps. Okay, notice that we have x's. We've got 1 and 2. Here's my x's, here's my y's. Now, just so you know, this is my second time through this video because I once again did not keep them straight. So like I tell everybody, we're going to make a table just to keep our numbers straight. This is x1, this is x2, this is y1, and this is y2. So my x1 is 0. My x2 is 1. My y1 is 6. And my y2 is 8. If you put them in the same spots every time, you'll know where they are. So that's why we take the time to do that. Because from here, we're going to have to find m. M is our rate of change. Okay, so we have to find it. And the way we find it is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. This you have to memorize. There's no way around it. It's not on the formula chart. You just have to memorize it because you will need it. So now I'm going to take my numbers. I got my y2 minus my y1 and my x2 minus my x1. And so x8 minus 6 is 2. 1 minus 0 is 1. This reduces down to 2. So m equals 2. Okay, that finds m. Now we have to find b. B requires another table. This one's just a little different. We've got our x and our y. We've got our point 1 and our point 2. And we've got mx plus b. From here, we're going to take and plug in our numbers. 0, 1, 6, 8. Those came from here. Our m is over here. We got 2. Okay? So what this says is m times x. So m times x. So 0 times 2 is 0. 1 times 2 is 1. Or I'm sorry, is 2. Okay? So m times x. So now we're going to have plus what? 0 plus what gives you 6? It's 6. 2 plus 6 gives me 8. So our b is 6. So our equation now is y equals m B. So it just takes some steps. The math is fairly simple, but it does take some steps to get the process. Okay, once again, we've got our table, x1, x2, or y1, y2, my x, my y, my 1, my 2. I'm going to circle two numbers. Doesn't matter which ones, but I like using my smaller numbers. So my 1 and 2, so x1 is 0, x2 is 1, y1 is 1, and y2 is 4. So then I'm going to do my m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And that gives me y2 is 4 minus 1 over 1 minus 0. Negative 4 minus 1 is 3. 1 minus 0 is 1. So my m is 3. That's my rate of change. And then I'm going to go in and do my other chart. X, Y, 1, 2, m, x plus b. And I get 0, 1, 1, and 4. My m is 3. And then I'm going to do my math. Zero times 3 is 0. 0 plus what gives me 1? 1. 1 times 3 is 3. 3 plus 1 is 4. So my b is 1. So that makes my equation y equals 3x plus 1. So once again, it's just several steps. None of it's hard. You just have to take it step by step. Okay? Okay, today's assignment was graphs. So once again, the line will not pass through the origin. Instead, the graph will cross the y-axis at the point known as the y-intercept, otherwise known as B, which we were just finding. And if you remember, our y-intercept is at a point 0, y. It's going to be on the 0 axis, on the 0 for the x, and it'll be somewhere on that y-axis that it crosses. That's my y-intercept. Okay, so those are going to be really important now that we're doing graphs. Here's our first example. Okay, we're going to do exactly what we did yesterday, or just a minute ago, but this time we're going to find 2 points. I'm going to choose this point because it's my y-intercept. It's on my y-axis, and then I'm going to choose this one. And what I'm doing is I'm just picking pretty points where it crosses the lines. And so now I'm going to identify them. Remember, this is x and this is y. So x comes first, so it's going to be 1, 2, 3, and down 1, 2, which in this case it's skipping, so it's -4. So it's going to go here. This other point is 0 and -6. So when I do this, I now have my 2 points. I'm gonna do my little chart, just like I did yesterday, X and Y, 1 and 2, X1, X2, Y1, Y2. And I'm picking numbers 0 and -6 and 3, -4. Okay, so I'm just plugging my numbers in, and now I have my M equals Y2 minus Y1 over X2 minus X1, and I get Y2 is -4 minus -6. Y2 is 3 minus 0. Okay, remember this change is positive. So -4 minus 6 is 2. 3 minus 0 is 3. So my rate of change, M, is 2 over 3. Just like yesterday, we're going to do our little chart. And plug in my numbers, 0, 3, -6, -4, and 2/3 timesing plus blank plus B equals. So 0 times 2/3 is going to be 0. 0 plus -6 gives me -6. 3 times 2/3, and put this over 1, 3 times 2 is 6 over 3, which equals 2. So 2 plus what equals -4? It's, once again, -6. So my B is -6. Well, if you paid attention during the notes, I pointed out that anything with the 0 as the X has my Y-intercept. So we could have saved ourselves a whole lot of time and not had to do this if we know that this point where it crosses the Y-axis, or where the line crosses the Y-axis, is my Y-intercept. So it's always going to have a 0 here, and then this number is going to be this one. So from now on, I don't have to do this part, I just have to do this part to find my rate of change. Now, to decide if it's positive or negative, if you look, if I'm reading my line from left to right and I'm going across, notice that it's going up as I'm going that direction. So that means it's going to be positive, it's going up. Also notice that this is a positive number. That also tells you that it's positive. So my equation is Y equals 2/3 X plus, Y equals 2/3 minus X minus 6 is my equation. Okay, so on the graphs, now that we know what our Y-intercept is, I can go and look. Here's my X-axis, my Y-axis. This is where it's going to cross. I'm looking, it's crossing right there. So that point is my 0, 3. And if I look over here, here's another pretty point, and it is 3, 0. So there's my 2 points, but here is my Y-intercept, so I know that's gonna be 3. Notice that my line as I'm going left to right is going down, so it's going to be negative. So that means my constant rate of change is going to be negative. So now I've got all my information I need. I only have to pick 2 points. I can pick any 2 points. I figured those were easier because they have zeros in them. So my x and my y, 1, 2, x1, x2, y1, y2. So my first one is 0, 3. My second one is 3, 0. Now I'm going to do my m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So I get y2, 0 minus 3 over 3 minus 0. 0 minus 3 is going to give me a negative 3. 3 minus 0 is 3. 3 over 3 reduces down to 1, and I only have one negative, so it's going to be negative. But once again, we said it was going to be negative. So our negative is our constant rate of change is -1. So that makes my equation y equals -1x plus 3. So that's how you do it with graphs. And non-proportional relationships.